everybody, to the first Inside the Harmony Rucker League podcast. I am one half of the Insiders, Walker Ward, alongside Mason Howard. We're here to bring to you basically everything that we know about that's going on inside the Harmony Rucker League, whether it's going to be juicy stories, trade talks, weekend recaps, players that are heating up, players that are cold, everything up, below, and far in between. Mason's going to kind of talk about here, what is Harmony Rucker League?
So if you're joining with us, there is a great chance that you know what the Harmony Rucker League is and what we're about. But on the whim that you are a new follower of the Harmony Rucker League, here's the quick breakdown. We are a 3-on-3 basketball league in a small town, Harmony, Minnesota, in the southeast corner of the state. We have 50 guys that encompass many neighboring towns, people driving up towards the 45 minutes to come play in our league, multiple owners that own up to across our 10 teams, couple commissioners, and really, it's a really official league that has a lot of fun. And starting this year, myself and Walker Ward are kind of like the media news outlet that's bringing this behind the scenes stuff that a lot of the fans and a lot of the players even don't really know about. So with this podcast, we're going to get into, all of that. So starting with that, we just had week one of our opening weekend, 2025 season. Walker Ward plays for the Gators. How are the Gators this past weekend?
Well, the Gators didn't quite have the weekend that we wanted to, I guess. We were 1-2. Unfortunately, the first game we were up like 19-10 or 20 to, I think we were up 19-10 on the Polars, and then I rolled my ankle. Kind of affected my play for the next two games. We dropped the next two games, but the next two games were close, but I just wasn't able to push off as much. So, but don't worry. The ankle is fine. It's healed. I actually blood sacrificed a Wolverine, drank its blood. We're feeling fine. I ran a mile today. Took me 7 minutes and 30 seconds, but.
And when you say that you blood sacrificed the Wolverine, was that something you found on the internet, or is that just like a family thing, or like how did that all come about, the blood sacrifice?
Father Time, actually.
Father Time.
Yeah, that's how he is able to be like 57 and play like he's 23.
If I wasn't familiar with the Rucker League, I would call out BS, but knowing Father Time and knowing the guys in the Rucker League, that seems like a totally factual story.
Father Time is like a year or two away from retirement, and he's still playing basketball with 20-year-olds.
And it's crazy. Father Time does do some crazy things out there. Moving off of Father Time, let's look at the Wolves. The Wolves had a 2-1 record. They played really well. They should have been 3-0 if not for a game winner from Bryden Ball.
Bryden Ball he's a good player. He definitely is the star of that team.
100%.
I will say, though, I think the Wolves are not. Excuse me. We're talking about the Wolves, not the Polars.
Yeah, well, Bryden Ball had such a good game against the Wolves that makes me want to talk about the Polars. We'll get there, but Wolves, Zach Haugerud, JT Season, Reed Olson, Father Time. I think I'm missing their fifth player in my mind. Wyatt Breezer.
Yeah,
Street ball Wyatt Breezer. They're a good team.
Yeah, they are. They had a good weekend. I don't know. Definitely falling to the Polars was interesting because Polars didn't have the best weekend. But yeah, the game winner from Bryden. So I don't know really what all happened there. I kind of missed part of that game. I don't know. Did you kind of see?
I didn't really watch any of the Wolves this past weekend, but I was able to talk to Zach Haugerud, and one thing he said that surprised me was that Reed Olson is actually a steal for his team in the draft. He's really impressed with Reed Olson.
Yep. He was happy with how Reed played. Honestly, I'm going to add a little spice here.
Okay, hit me.
Let's just start adding spice. I think that Ruby, the owner of the Wolves, is maybe a little upset, or not maybe upset, but just has a little frustration towards one of the players on her team.
Really?
She thinks he shoots a little too much, and I don't know. We'll leave. It's Father Time, basically.
Okay.
I kind of overheard her. He shoots so much. Ruby's Australian, but
For our at-home listeners, she's from the land down under.
so I don't know. Something to keep in your mind going forward the rest of the season.
And talking to Zach seemed pretty excited about Father Time being on the team. So do you think that the owner of the Wolves, somebody he's fairly close with, would go behind his back and trade away one of his favorite players?
No, he can't. He's there. I don't think it's gonna happen. They're not trading away Father Time. I do not see it happening. But all of a sudden, maybe we start losing a few games.
Things a little
What's gonna
dicey.
happen? Maybe instead of trading, like say the Wolves maybe lose a few games, do they say we need to get Father Time on a winning team for his last season, and does he get traded to a team that's maybe like in the top half of the league or the top three teams, probably going to win a championship? I don't know. They did go 2-1 though, so
They did go 2-1, and if you're winning, you don't want to trade anybody. But us talking about this gave me an idea about a trade idea for later, which we will be
okay.
getting into. I want to move quickly to
Well, can you
myself.
tell
Yeah.
me before we do that, who are the two teams the Wolves beat?
Who are the two teams the Wolves beat this past weekend? In 1 second, I can tell you that
I
the Wolves. The Wolves
correct me if I'm wrong,
didn't play the toughest schedule. I will say
but
that.
it was the 1-2 Knights and the 0 and
Win
3
three
Red
Red
Raiders.
Raiders. So the Wolves played an 0-3 team, a 1-2 team, and a 1-2 team,
So
and
and
went
they
2-1. They didn't even go
lost.
3-0.
They lost to that. The Polars could have been 0-3, but they ended up beating the Wolves. So their only loss is to a team that
Are the Wolves fraudulent?
it's something to think about.
If I'm Ruby at home, I'm happy that we went 2-1, but I'm not too happy. It wasn't a dominant performance by a Zach Howgrew team as we're used to.
They did have a plus 11 on the plus minus, which is that's good for especially for 1 week into it. Um, but we'll see what happens.
I'm gonna shift this over. For example, so Wolves, they have their full squad. They only go 2-1 with a plus 11. Let's go over to the Lions,
The
who played a
Lions.
much tougher schedule, in my opinion. Go 3-0, only have three guys. They played 2v3 for a
They had
while,
two.
and they had a very similar plus minus, a little less at a +8. Wow, that was crazy. The Lions really shocked me. They're heading back to the top of the league after an off year last year.
But what are the Lions going to do because they only had three players this weekend? Two of their
Out for track.
out for track, I
Adrian
believe.
Rindles and Keegan Patton.
There we
Out,
go.
out,
Yep, you got it.
out.
Not going to be able to play for. I don't know. Are they going to be? Is track season still going? I think
They're probably gonna be out at least 2-3 more weekends to
so.
the end of May.
And Peyton Olsen retires, so they're only down to two. So what do they do?
I just before we started recording, I just got off the phone with one of the Wilders, the owners of the Lions,
Mm-hmm.
and he told me that they picked up Hayden Lostune. Now I have not gotten confirmation from the owner of the HRL, Zach Hauger, that this is official. Hayden Lostune is a Lanesville graduate, about 6'1". I haven't seen him lately. He can range between 180 to 230. So he could be either lean and fast, or he could be a little thicker and play more as a post. He's athletic. He was a pretty good ball player back in his day. Is
Okay.
he equivalent to a fifth round pick? There's room to debate on that. But I think that he just adds to
Okay,
the
what
Lions.
what round do you think he would have gone in if he was in
A third
the
round
draft?
pick.
You think
I
he's a
think he'd
third
win.
round
I
pick?
think he's a third round caliber pick. He's an
So
athlete.
something to keep. I don't know. Can the league allow that? Because man, that's going to be tough. Because who else are they going to get? I wish we had the pool of players for the Lions to look
Mm-hmm.
at who do they have to choose from, and then we could give our best opinion. But we are not privy to that information as of right
As
now.
as being on a team that did have to go get a player as well due to
Yeah, you
it
you're
is it you find whoever you can. It's not where we don't have a pool. It is find somebody that's about the equivalent of the player you lost.
so is the league So how do they do this then? Because if you're saying that you think he's a third round equivalent, if I'm
Zach and Gunn only know so much about a player.
but if I'm like the Black Panthers, the Storm, the Suns, the Gate, all those teams, I'm maybe making a thing. I'm maybe having a little bit of a fit. Like you can't pair Quincy Berlin, the player of the weekend, which we'll get to later, but you can't pair Quincy Berlin with basically two third. Well, Logan Torgerson was a second round pick, correct?
Yes.
Okay, but
Adrian Rindles, who we haven't seen yet, what I've heard is really athletic. He was their third round pick. So now
yeah,
you got the very athletic Logan Torgerson, very athletic Adrian Rindles, and now a very athletic Hayden Lawson. He'll probably tell you, "Oh, I'm not athletic. I'm not in high school anymore."
where
But he's only like 20 years old. You don't lose that much
where's he go to
athleticism.
school?
He stays home in Lanesdright. He does. I think he
Okay,
commutes to school somewhere maybe in Iowa or local university. So
okay, okay.
like I said,
So
I've played sports with the guy before. He's a good athlete. So the Lions are only getting better, and I think the Wilders may have swindled the league with
I
that pickup.
if it gets approved, I don't know. I know one owner, the Logan Baylor is going to have something to say if he finds out that if he really finds out that this Hayden Lawson is a third round equivalent and the Lions are getting him basically for free and not, anyone else in the league having being able to pick that up. I don't know, might cause a little uproar, especially for a 3-0 team, but let's keep it moving here. So we talked about the Lions. Let's jump right down. Let's talk about your Hunters. Let's talk about,
We're
not
going from 3-0 to 0-3.
well, yeah, we had the most unfortunate event that could have happened. First of all, you guys don't have your second round pick, Greg, for at least another 2-3 weeks. And then Big Boy's kind of stepping up, playing that role, the big man down low. And Big Boy says bye bye
To the ankle, yes.
that was
It was
that was
it was
kind of
brutal.
gross.
It was brutal for our loyal fans. It was even worse than Alex Gink dislocating the knee a couple of years ago.
I did. Oh, we got
We have a visitor.
we have
a visitor.
streaker. Fillmore, you got to go. What do you need?
The IHRL cat has joined the segment for our at-home listeners who don't see the video, and that was the cat toy being thrown in the back there.
It was the dealer chip. So
But yeah, the injury really was gruesome. Big Boy handled it like a champ. He was in a lot of pain, but he really took it well.
that's what I was getting to. I did offer to pop it back in for him, and that was shot down. For people that aren't aware, what I'm talking about is I popped when Alex Sicking's kneecap popped out of place.
It was wild.
I got to pop it back into place, but they said that this wouldn't work with an ankle. So,
And I don't know. The medical report was a dislocation, which could be popped back into place, possibly. I don't know. Well, also ligaments and stuff. And
so
I
it
don't
was just I heard broken too, but it wasn't broken, just dislocated.
It was dislocated and either broken
Okay.
or sprained really badly with ligaments.
Basically,
But
he's done for the season.
he's done for the season. So we go 0-3.
Well,
Very tough 0-3, but we did pick up a new player. Hunters have now added in free agency Jordan Peterson, another Lanesboro graduate.
the Canadian psychologist.
The Canadian psychologist is what they're calling him because Jordan Peterson is also a Canadian psychologist. He is 6'5". He is very athletic. He played one game of varsity basketball in his career, which is why, for being an athlete, we were given the leeway to go after him in place of Big Boy. But we're still out with Greg for the next couple of weeks, so where I'm excited to see where the Hunters go from here. Going down the ladder, though, to the 10th team in the league, AB's Red Raiders.
Ooh. They not only did the Red Raiders have an 0-3 weekend, they also had the worst plus minus of any team. Minus 24. I don't know. So I did a little. This was weeks ago. I did a little breakdown of each team going into the season about what I thought their strengths, what I thought their weaknesses was. And the very first sentence I put, Red Raiders, this team concerns me. I mean, the hustle is there without a doubt. Having Parker, I mean, Will's a rookie, so he hasn't played Rucker ball, but I know he'll hustle. But having Parker Storhoff, the defensive player of the year, Q, who lives for Rucker, and Jeremy O'Connor, the hustle player of the year, the hustle is there, but is the offense and the size there, I guess, is my concern with them. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I did not know what to expect with this Red Raiders team coming in. I'm not necessarily surprised with how their weekend went.
I'm going to take him.
Sounds good. Walker Wojnowski is taking care of our cat situation here on our end. But yeah, I'm not necessarily surprised by their 0-3 record. Just because they did have a really, really tough lineup. They played the Black Panthers, they played the Lions, I believe, and they played the Wolves. Or they may have played the Storm. They played 3 of the top 4 teams in the league. So that's already very tough, as is. And then now you have 2 ball-dominant players in Will Harvey and Parker Storhoff splitting shots, and they do a great job of distributing the wealth as well. But, I mean, they have to learn how to play with each other. They have no big man to really hunker down offensive load. And that's no disrespect to Q or Quentin Tripp. Quentin Tripp really holds his own out there.
But doesn't have the strength to match up with like Colt Landers, Ethan Lane, Zach Hogrew.
Yeah,
you know,
the bigger guys in the league.
Yeah, he doesn't just. He's got to get in that weight room. He's got to drink his milk. He's got to get his protein, and he's got to get in the weight room.
Exactly. So I'll be very interested to see where the Red Raiders go forward here.
So one thing is, I kind of was chirping at AB, the owner of the Red Raiders, like, "Hey, buddy, 0-3, not where you guys want it to be." And he said to me that he believes. I was trying to think of a rhyme to keep it going, but his response was, "We're fine."
Sounds like AB.
He says it was the first weekend, and he was very short in true AB fashion. Didn't get media trained. That's one thing that we got to talk about. Some media trained owners. AB's the Bill Belichick of this league.
He is.
Without the wins. I mean, he's not giving anything up. AB, how's your? You guys had a rough weekend. Are you a little concerned about him? We're fine.
AB hates the media and me and Walker so much that he refused to even show up to week 1 so he didn't have to face us. So I don't even know how much of his own team he really knows. We were trying to tell him stuff that we saw. So I'll be really interested about that. An owner who was there and knows AB very well, LB in the Black Panthers.
Jump all the way to the top of the standings right there, the Black Panthers.
And what's even funnier is AB has the plus minus of minus 24. LB has the plus minus of plus 24. I mean, the parallels here are pretty ridiculous. LB may not be able to play Rucker very well, but he can draft the Rucker very well.
It is a tale of two cities, like you said. It is. I mean, I didn't really expect this out of the Black Panthers, but they also went and got 2 rookies right away. So it was a wild card of like, what are they going to do? Now, who do the Black Panthers play? That's my question.
Let's go take a look. I know one of the teams was mine, who was 0-3. One of the teams was Red Raiders, who are 0-3. And then their other team was the Polars, 1-2. Again, a cupcake schedule. So now we're up to 2 teams in the top half of the league that played 2 teams in the bottom half of the league. I mean, I don't know. The only real impressive win I saw this past weekend was the Lions over the Storm. That was the only top 2 teams.
Well, I would say honestly too, the Lions over the Suns was,
I suppose, yes, our game of the week.
The Suns have all 5 guys rotating in and out fresh. And the Lions are only playing with 3. This is after, right? This is Peyton rolled his ankle after this.
He rolled his ankle in the last game of the night, which was versus the Hunters, in which he sat out for a couple minutes.
We had a healthy ankle Peyton Olsen out there. So, but still, I mean, you've got Quincy, Logan Torgerson, and Peyton Olsen One thing I want to give a shout out: Logan Torgerson looks good. That dude, I don't know, is he going to school or whatever, but like he looks like he's been like eating right. He's been doing things. He's like trimmed down. I can definitely tell from the start of
He
last year.
he told me he's lost like 30 to 40 pounds.
Yeah, I was shocked. Like I knew like he's still like tall. He's still a big man, but he's not that, maybe enjoys a few adult pops.
Of course.
Obviously because he is under 21, so he pops.
Pops. Under 21 pops.
But, you could definitely tell Quincy was kind of like, I'm gasping for air, like I'm a little tired. So, have you talked to him? Is it true that he still hasn't recovered from Sunday?
I have not talked to him directly, but my sources have told me that Quincy Berland has not recovered fully from Sunday, and he is trying to find every means of recovery, from cupping to acupuncture to masseuses to chiropractors.
Wolverine blood.
I mean, I don't know if he knows about the Wolverine blood yet. He needs to talk to Father Time about that. I watched him walk off the court after the Storm victory, and he just laid down, gasping for air.
But here's the thing: he does that, and he doesn't. But he's gasping for air. The ball goes out of bounds. It's like he's like, holy shit! And then all of a sudden, the ball's back on the court, and that switch is flipped, and he's just 100%.
It's wild to me, and maybe that the college basketball has instilled that in him. But all I know is that like the Lions are not getting anybody back anytime soon. They're playing with 3 guys for the next couple weeks. He needs to drink some Wolverine blood. He needs to do something because his legs are going to get tired week in and week out. He is the guy week in and week out. I don't know if they're going to be able to keep up this perfect record for too much longer.
So, okay, we're talking about the lot. We got to get back to what we were talking about.
I say we move down to Storm.
Okay, yeah. Let's move right down to
Colt Landers in the Storm, arguably the most dominant player all weekend, even though he was not our player of the weekend.
He 30 and 30.
30 and 30.
30 and 30. That is...
Call that an ESPN documentary.
Yes. He had an ESPN documentary weekend right there.
Yes.
I mean, that's a big dude right there that I got to pull up his stats here.
I have the stats.
Another player. I think the Storm are going to be... Who did they lose to, I guess, is my...
The Lions was their only loss.
Oh, yeah. Their Lions was their only loss. I don't really know. I wish I could have saw that game. That was one I just wasn't quite paying attention to. I think that was like right after I had to run home and grab my ankle brace. But man, not to keep bringing back the Lions, like that's got to be one of the...
I think that's the IHRL's biggest team of the week. That's the best team for the week.
But the Storm, I didn't really get too much of a chance to watch them, but their biggest strength is obviously Colt. But then how was Wilson's weekend? Because I know like White Chocolate is his nickname because he's out there and he is just fluid with the ball.
You search up Wilson's stats. I am going to go into the Storm weekend a little bit, and we keep on coming back to the same theme. The reason we're talking so much about the Lions is because the Lions beat by upper half of the league this weekend. The Storm lost to the Lions, and then they beat the Red Raiders, and they beat the Hunters, the bottom 2 teams in the league. So while I do believe that the Storm are legit, they haven't proved that yet. So I don't want to go all in. I'm not putting all my stock into the Storm.
I don't know what's going on there, but I think we might have provoked some drama with a team.
Live time, Walker Wojnarowski's phone is blowing up from an owner.
From an owner.
We're not going to go into what owner it is. I'm gonna let Walker Wojnarowski look into that though.
Yeah, we're gonna keep that. We're gonna keep that. Maybe for next week we'll go into that. But we've got an owner who we were talking to earlier about his team, and I think I might have stirred the pot a little bit there.
We can't. This is week 1, Walker. We can't be making owners too angry yet.
Holy!
Was there a text on that phone?
We're gonna keep it right there. We're gonna keep it moving. But the Storm. So Wilson had 5 points per game was his average this weekend. Colt had 10. Sawyer was averaging a little. What was it? 2.6 or whatever. So
and that's what you need. That's almost a victory right
there. Well-rounded team. Rebounds per game, obviously Colt put up 30 rebounds.
So
That's
he
just
averaged a double per game.
crazy. But just looking at where, oh my gosh, why is this so hard to read?
They should all be
There
towards
we
the
go.
top there, I
Yep.
believe.
So Wilson had 18 rebounds. He's averaging 6 rebounds. I mean, a game.
So he's
That's
averaging 5 and 6 right now.
and then it looks like they did have some good contributions from Dylan Winslow too. I
Dylan
believe
Winslow,
I,
really?
I believe he's on their team. Yeah. And that was one, yeah, because that was so he's got 3 points per game. That was one of the kids that I that really impressed me at the rookie showcase. Well, he's not a rookie, but he was out there playing,
Kind of like a rising star,
and
yeah.
he was playing very well. I think did I name him as like one of my sleeper picks or something? I can't remember exactly.
He was not one of your sleeper picks.
Well,
But he should have been.
I think I remember debating him then of putting him as my sleeper pick because one thing, okay, so going back to the little write up I did about the teams going into the season, uh, do you want to? I'm going to let you read the first line I wrote about the Storm just because I want to add a little spice. And this is going to play into the fact that the Storm, their 2 wins came against 2-0-3 teams. You want to go ahead and read what that first line says?
Per Walker Wojnarowski as of a couple weeks ago. I'm just going to come right out and say I think the Storm might be a little overrated. Wow.
Oh.
Coming in hot to the Storm. But I've read a couple of your predictions, and they all seem to be coming true in real time.
But so one thing I want, so getting back to what I was talking about. I don't know if you've ever watched Dylan Winslow play. He's good. He's not like smooth like butter. He's more like I don't know how to describe it.
Interesting.
But it's like he moves in slow motion. I don't know how to, like even when he dribbles the ball, it's like it's at 0.75 speed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how he does it, but he's still hard to stop and he scores.
I remember playing him in the past, and it's something the way he moves sometimes because at a slower pace, it's like you kind of let your guard down, and then you're like, how's this dude have 5? You. How's this dude have 5 points on me right now? And it kind of pisses you off a little bit.
It
So
does.
you partner that up with Wilson Storhoff, who I believe is an underrated star in the league. Colt Landers, who's going to be a star in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Sawyer Johnson, who's a nice little shooter, gets the bucket, plays some defense. Storm need to prove it to us that they're good.
Mm-hmm.
On paper, they're good, though.
On paper, they're good. No, yeah. I mean, they had a plus 16, plus minus going of the weekend. But let's just keep it moving. We spent enough time on the Storm.
We have going to a team that may have had some off-the-court drama between owners and players.
Yeah.
Which we're not going to get into here quite yet. The Suns.
The Suns. So, yeah, the Suns 2-1. They beat our Gators. This was the game where we had, this was a rolled ankle. Rylan Ristow was cooking me. He was just too fast, and there was times I just couldn't keep up with that.
What a weekend from the kid too.
Oh my gosh,
put up 30 this weekend.
30 points for a rookie. You've got to think about obviously Quincy. Obviously, Colt had great weekends. Obviously, Ethan Lane had a great weekend, but Rylan Ristow, it's if you remove the 3 players who were first round picks, basically, the first 5 picks, right? Basically, all of a sudden, here's Rylan Ristow on a team with Jaden Brink, and I don't know, is Rylan Ristow is he the face of the Suns right now?
He kind of is. I told the kid last night, I saw him at the Rucker. I'm like, they'll check me. I wasn't familiar with your game. I was shocked. I saw him go in the second round, and as an analyst, I thought, what is not LBU? What is the Suns doing? I thought there was many better players on the board, but there probably wasn't because he had himself a weekend. He probably should have gone earlier, to be honest.
Do you think? Is Brink okay with being the quote unquote number 2? Is he the number 2?
Is he? The stats would argue it.
Stats would say he is.
I know it's only one weekend, but Brink came into the league and he was the most exciting guy last year. It was you're showing up to watch Jaden Brink. And I'm not saying that's not going to happen this year, but when you're only putting up he had 20, he hits about 7 a game, which is respectable.
That's yeah.
But when you're not the offensive guy on your team, when Ristow, this freshman, is knowing Jaden Brink, he's gonna say that all that matters is winning. But as an offensive player, that might bug him a little bit.
So one thing I was just looking, so what are Brink's assists going into it? And he had 5 assists this weekend. Total. 5 assists in 3 games. Caden Stetler led the way with 6 assists. That's
As he
2 a game,
does.
though. That's 2 a game.
I mean, nobody averages over 3 a game, I believe, right now.
Averaging more than that is especially with a game only going to 21. So his assist numbers are there. He's averaging 1.6 assists per game, but is steady, kind of creating the ability. Is he the passer of the team? And if Ryland's scoring and Brink's only getting 7, I mean, is he happy with that?
I don't know. I know it's only week 1, but we might just have to wait and see. Imagine the Suns go 0-3 next week. Imagine the Suns fall to 2-4, and Brink only has 7 a game again.
So do we talk about the rumblings that we've heard that there was a player on the Suns team that was unhappy after this last weekend?
If you were interested in going into it, I'm more than interested in going into it.
Is it Jaden Brink? Is he upset?
We heard from our sources that there was an unnamed Suns player that contacted management about being unhappy about kind of how the weekend went. And they were 2-1.
They're
2-1. What's to be unhappy about? Except maybe if you're not putting the ball in the bucket as much as you used to.
And I know, right, if Jaden Brink sees this, he's going to comment, he's going to do whatever. No, this is great. Like, he's going to laugh at this. So then, right, I don't think he's that type of player. He's not a drama queen.
Yeah, just to preface, we both know Jaden very well, and he's a baller. But you never know.
But are those 4 and 5 round draft picks maybe a little upset? Because the Suns had all 5 players there, and I believe they're going to have all 5 players there every weekend.
They will.
So,
and that's tough when you have all 5 for sure, because then it requires a lot of subbing, especially when you're 4 and 5 are respectable players in their own sense too. That Connor Danielson, Parker Wangan could definitely see some playing time.
Mm-hmm.
At what point do they say I would be a better 4 on another team? What point do they start demanding trades? What point do they start holding out on their team, asking for a trade, saying I'm not going to play until you trade me to a team that's going to value me?
Yeah, I know there was a lot of people. Now, Connor Danielson did fall to the 4th round, but I know there was a lot of teams that were not really upset, but were, I guess we could say a little upset. Like, shoot, we wanted Connor Danielson, and he went to the Suns. Now, if he doesn't get his playing time, yeah, do we see him hold out for demand a trade, basically? We got to keep it moving, though. Let's just keep going. Next team, we talked about the Gators, the Knights. The Knights, they beat us, our Gators. That was their only win. Again, this is post ankle roll. I was a little bit slower.
No Wolverine blood yet.
I know a lot of people were talking going into the year, how is it going to work with Trey and Grant? Are they going to be able to communicate with each other? And now they only had a -7 overall, but
they played 2 good teams. They played the Suns and they played the Wolves.
Yeah,
the 2 losses.
Yep. I mean, I don't know. The Knights are still interesting to me. You can't really judge a team after 1 week because, you never know. The plus minus really does kind of give you an indication. A -7 is like, that's all of a sudden you lose 2 games by
3 and 4 points.
Yeah, 3 and 4 points. And it's like, oh, well,
yeah,
that's nothing. But Trey, really good player, really good hustle player. Grant, same exact thing. I really think, a lot of people, like I said, we're kind of questioning them going into the season. How are they going to do? But I think they're going to play together well. They just kind of need to figure out that solid third, I think. I'm not, Shopsky is a great player, but I think they just need big.
I agree. I agree. I need to see if a Grant Kennedy, who's a pretty big guy, can go and kind of get on those boards, be
Mm-hmm.
that big guy they need. And if not, do we see trades happen? Do we see them go after a Ryan Holman, a Quinton Tripp, a Walker Ward? Do we see the Knights are trying to shop around some of their guards? They do have a very valuable trade asset
Mm-hmm.
by having both Grant and Trey.
They
They can
do.
definitely get a big if they need to partner up with one of their star guards.
Now, the one thing I do worry about with trades is how our team's going to be able to get in contact with Matt Lutz because
He's off the face of the planet. I don't even know if he's seen how his team has done quite
yeah,
yet.
he probably still is wondering when,
When opening weekend is.
did I draft a team already? Who knows?
It was auto drafted. Okay, last team that we're going to be speaking about before we go into some juicy trade talks is the Polars. And not too much to say here. It is a young guy leading a team, figuring things out, and he got a signature win versus the Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be
The
excited to see how he looks going forward.
the only thing I don't want to. We got to keep things kind of moving here, but I think the Polars might be in peril. The owner of the Polars was not happy with their weekend performance, and he was quoted. He was overheard and quote saying, "Those boys got to figure it out." Something to kind of keep in mind. Maybe the Polars trading players, getting rid of, trying to figure out what's going to work, right? They're all basically high schoolers besides Hayden, who just graduated last year.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't here this weekend. Do they go out and try to get something? I don't know. What do they need?
It's hard to know when you don't even have all your full team there. If you
Yeah.
don't have Hayden Erickson there and see how he changes the dynamic, you don't even know what you need. So
Well,
we'll see going forward.
we definitely will see, right? Week 2 is coming up here. Week 1, you can't. This isn't. We're just overreacting to everything, right?
This is overreaction Monday.
Overreacting, basically.
Overreaction Thursday.
Yes. But yeah, with that, we wanted to. We'll keep things moving along. We're going to talk potential. That leads us into potential trades. Wait,
new segment, trade talk with Mason and Walker.
What do we think each team needs now? I'm just kind of looking at the time here, and we wanted to keep it to half an hour, and we are well beyond that.
Are we?
So we're going to try to rattle these off quickly. I mean, we almost even could just leave it for next week. Trade talks if we want to just make that.
Honestly, we might need to do trade talk next week. Maybe.
Well, we're going to decide to hold off on the trade talks until next week. We got to see a little bit more this week. See what teams need. See what teams have to dish out. Right?
Exactly.
I mean, if you're going to have players that aren't showing up, then
why keep them on your roster?
That just drains their trade value. You can't. Well, why have them on your roster, but you want to get rid of them? Another team's going to say, well, I don't want them if they're not going to show up.
Exactly.
But do trades make players want to show up? Say they're on a team that isn't doing too well, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, I'm going to trade you to play with your best, your buddy. Boom, they're there.
They're there, and they're giving their effort. Exactly. So that's going to be kind of our main focus on our next one.
Mm-hmm.
Is some HRL trade talk. It's new in the league. We only had one trade in like the history of ever. So let's see when the next one comes around.
And well, that was between.
That was a 3-team trade involving.
I don't even remember who all it was. We'd have to dig way back. We could talk about that next week on what the trade was. But yeah, basically that's going to do it for us this week on Inside the Harmony Rucker League. Wasn't perfect. Wasn't anything amazing. We're still figuring it out. But we're hoping that you guys enjoy what we're doing here. We're adding a little spice, right? Don't take anything too serious. It's all fun. We're all a brotherhood, right? We're just here. Add a little flavoring to the league, right? Let's have some fun this summer. Let's make year 5 of the Harmony Rucker League the best one yet.
Best one yet.
And it's going to start here. This is where we're going to have stories. We're going to poke things around, maybe poke the bear a little bit, right? And that's what we do. That's our job as insiders.
That's how we got hired.
Overreact to things, blow things way out of proportion, and then have it come back and get shite on in the face by me calling the Storm the most overrated team.
Because when he plays Storm, potentially this
When
next
Colt
week, Cole Landers
is going to say, "So you think I'm overrated, huh?"
Overrate this, Walker Ward.
Let's for the record, let's just go back. After the first line, what is the very next line I wrote?
Per Walker Wojnarowski, Colt is freaking good. I know.
That was my very and the next line.
And Wilson is dog on the court.
I mean, that is my next two things, right? Just for my
Your
sake,
safety, maybe.
because I know I'm probably gonna have to guard Colt, and he's gonna
try to go 20-20 on you in the same game.
You want to get postered? Well, I think that's gonna do it for us here at Inside the
I
Harmony
think
Rucker.
so.
Any closing remarks?
I hope everybody enjoyed episode 1. We're just going to keep on getting better and better each week. We keep on hoping you join us each week. And
it'll get better, I promise.
And we'll see you guys on Sunday for week 2 of the HRL.
All right. Later.